Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the EBP, the extraterrestrial biological probe that is implanted in MM. This is an adjunct to my 7 ELF probes. And I want to talk a little bit of why the fundamentally, the significance of the EBP. Quick review. Everybody who joins MAJestic or is part of a black organization gets implants, and these are known as ELF implants. If you're part of the American Embassy, for instance, you get implants. If you're in the State Department, you get implants. It's a way of controlling people who have access to very, very sensitive information, and this is not about that. This is just a statement of fact. That's what happens. Those are known as ELF implants. Those of us who were involved in very, very, very specialized roles had specialized implants. And I had implants. And I have implants. And that's all I'm going to say about the ELF implants at this point in time. Instead, I'm talking about a different implant. And this is the implant of our benefactors, who I call the type 1 grays. You know them perhaps as domain. And they installed this little device, a little physical device up here, and behind the eyes, out here somewhere. It is not that the physical, it's like an iceberg, okay? What you see physically is not the entirety of what they did. It's not a little thing they just plop in. Okay, you're done, goodbye. The procedure took a week. How do I know? If you read my biography, or my autobiography, it's not a biography, it's an autobiography, you'll know that I entered to get that done on a Monday, and then I came out of the surgery procedure on a late afternoon Friday. And everybody in my class wondered where the hell I was all week. To me, it just seemed like I was just gone a couple of hours. So obviously there was a major procedure that took place. This major procedure is different than those people who say they were abducted and had missing time. Those people say or say that they're minding their own business, a light comes, they wake up in a spaceship, a flying saucer, there's some kind of medical procedure, they watch what's going on, and then they come back and they forget all that time. And gradually over time they start remembering it. And that's like the Betty Hill story, right? Remember that? They're gone for a couple of hours. It's a couple hours missing time. There's a difference between a couple of hours of missing time and a couple of weeks or a couple of days of missing time. The procedure that I was involved in was very, very elaborate and very substantive. This is not embedding a tracking device into Metallic Man here. This was something completely different and more substantive. Excuse me. But what transpired? What is it? A simple tracking device? A communication device? What is it? Well, I don't know. Nobody ever gave me a manual on it. What I do know, and that's what I'm going to talk about, is an indirect understanding of what it is. The impression that I get from my Q&A is that I am a glamour and a collection of, an amalgamation of soul components that created my being, and that I have gone through various lives to perfect this consciousness being. I'm just talking, guys, all right? Which differs from all you other guys. So I'm like made up of different parts, like MAJestic, and made up of parts from different things, and then created this kind of Frankenstein soul placed in this container, this body, and then given a role, in which case a physical alteration occurred to my many bodies, my physical and non-physical bodies. And that's what the EBP is. A massive alteration to my physical bodies. It's not a simple tracking device or a simple communication device. It's something else completely different. But what it is, I can only speculate. So this talk here is a little bit of speculation. What I do know is that if it's a communication device, it is very, very in tune. It's almost like I have a, how can I describe it? An invisible suit of a domain person over me. It's like I'm like them, they are me. It's everything. They can feel everything I'm going through. They can read my mind. They can do all of it. It's like we're one and the same. This is, oh God, something unheard of. And it's something that's very, very hard to grasp of. But yeah, that's what it is. And as part of that, there's substantive changes to my non-physical body. So you get this little tiny physical thing that's in the physical body, and lots of substantive changes to my non-physical body. These substantive changes get updates over time. I had one last year. It was the year before. And it happens. These are known as major software updates or major non-physical body updates. And I'm just talking about me here because that's what this subject here is, and it's about me. So while I'm under the impression that there are many such okay, I'm under the impression, I was told that there's only going to be a handful of people of my background. as part of the program. Yet I also know from comm with the commander that there are others who have similar roles of a different nature. Some are talking to spirits, and they translate this to Pleiadians and stuff like that. And others are doing things where they talk to mediums or have visions or what, and they communicate to other ones. The commander has different ways of getting their message across, and I'm one such way. But as far as I understand it, I'm one of their better methods. Maybe not in quantity, but in quality for the kind of person that they're targeting. And does it matter, really? You can take a direct highway to go over there, or you can take a wandering goat path that may take you a couple of years to get over there, but eventually you'll get over there. And that's the point of view that I'm getting towards this. These other systems all work. It's just some of them take longer than others. Some of them are a step-by-step process that results in improvement of templates over reincarnation periods. And my role here is to, I suppose, gather people who's ready for a final egress. And I'm trying to provide the information as it comes to me. You'll notice, one thing you'll notice throughout the MM and throughout my writings or my videos or everything, that everything builds upon something else. That's all building. I set up a groundwork, then another thing comes on, another thing comes on. So if you jump in the middle of it, you may not understand anything that's going on. You may not understand a single thing. And that's because at the time when I wrote that, I didn't understand it either. Which is why I set up the MAJestic page. Says, this is it. Go through this one by one, and that'll give you a good impression of what's going on and a good understanding. And then on top of that, I gave other skills. Skills on fate forecasting, world line travel, and all the rest. All these things have trained, you may not be aware of it, but it has trained your mind in this physical body towards a better understanding of what the hell's going on. Now guys, if you look at anybody else in this world, you look at all these other people and you talk to friends and relatives, seriously, don't you think that you have a far better grasp of the reality? Where you're at, where you're going, what your role is, how you fit, how you can move about? Don't you believe that you really understand the mechanism behind it? I hope you do. Excuse me. I hope you do. Matilda, when she was calm with the one commander, she she communicated in ways that she understood. And in a like way, I communicate in ways that I understand. But you have to understand, too, that all my experiences, my Lost in the Wilderness series, and my experiences in corporate America, were all purposely set up as training experiences for the reasons of communication. And here I am in China, but you know, I can tell you that there's probably other metallic men in similar venues in Russia, in China, in Africa, in South America. Oh, they don't call themselves metallic man, and oh, they don't do what I'm doing, but it's in another way, it's very similar. But my role and how I'm doing this, I'm only one of a handful, and of that handful, for all I know, I might be the only one who's really gotten this far in doing our roles. So, now what I want to do is I want to go kind of deep. And this is speculation on my part. It's based upon a couple of personal communications that I've had with the commander on a host of subjects and how I put them together. And it has created this picture. Keep in mind that what I'm describing right here is only my impression of a bigger picture that has many facets that I do not understand. So this is a simplified version of what's going on. As I've discussed before, there is a physical body that hosts the consciousness and the non-physical bodies associated with it, like an onion. So this is your physical body that has layers of a non-physical body and your quantas inside of it. I've also talked that associated with you, this is the lower energy quanta. It's stuck in the universe. Your higher energy quanta is in another body. We call that the guardian angel or the manted. It looks like this. I use a different container purposely to show you this. So you have a physical body that hosts your consciousness and a non-physical body that hosts all your higher energy stuff. These are both within our reality universe. Okay. This is for everybody. And this is for me, too. When I was born, I arrived here with a non-physical body and a physical body. And then something happened. And they did something to me. And what they did is they took my non-physical body, my manted body, and they took this and they put it in a container. It's no longer in this container, it's in a different container. And then they made a connection, a connector to this. I'm going to use this Lego as a connector. And they use this connector that connects, and they put it in my physical and non-physical bodies. So I'm connected to this. So I still have access to the higher energy parts, but it's in a different form. It's no longer in this form. It's in this form. And there's a connector that's connected to me here, that connects me to this form. Okay? So, for all practical purposes, I still have a manted. It's just that I don't access it like you guys do. Instead, I've got this. Okay? Now, the domain has a totally different structure than we do. They're not individual. They're a matrix. They're a matrix soul configuration. And as I said earlier in this video, that I feel like it's like a sheath over me. I'm connected. So here is the domain commander, but actually the domain commander, this is the domain commander, guys. So actually the domain commander is part of a matrix, right? So what I'm saying is going on is they created this body that is also part of this matrix. If you consider this the hive, and this is the body that they constructed, my higher energy manted self went and joined the hive, and I'm connected to it through this mechanism here. And thus, what does that mean? What am I? What am I? From all practical purposes, it looks like I'm high. Looks like I'm domain, huh? So what does this all mean? Well, from what I can gather, somehow I am very, very connected with the commander. And the commander, being a matrix soul structure, is the domain. Is domain. And therefore, me being connected, that makes me an appendage of the commander, and therefore I am domain. How is this interesting? Well, let's suppose for a minute that you are a visitor to MM, and this is you. And let's suppose that you believe that you are also domain. But you are trapped here because you're a member of the Lost Battalion, or perhaps a member of the domain that's not part of the battalion but got trapped here anyways, right? Somehow you are domain. So you come from a hive soul cluster, and you were fixed into an individual soul situation here. So your soul was torn away. Your soul was torn out from the domain and fractured into these parts. What are you going to do? And so here you are, you're sitting there and you're like this, and you're saying, I yearn to be part of where I belong. I yearn to be part of this. What happens? Well, it should be obvious. When the time comes and you decide to egress, your GP Manted is going to be trying to tell you, because it's their nature. Come back, go to the Heaven Pocket universe. You must go to the Heaven Pocket universe, and they will use the most convincing arguments possible. Come back, come back. It's just one more time. You need to get a few quanta that's left up there at the soul. So just come back. We can come back, and then I will make sure, I promise you, I'll make sure you'll get on a template, and you can pick up where you left off, and everything will be fine. Just one more time, just one more reincarnation. That will be their job. What you will have to do is you will have to leave, scoot, and there will be a time where this singular soul consciousness body will have to be torn asunder and your quanta removed from it and added back to where you belong. This is what freaked out Matilda. You are, and all you know is the individual soul construction. You don't know. You yearn for it, but you don't realize what it entails. I'm sure, I can assure you that that domain has put in place other systems to prevent that from happening, so it's not so horrific. But yeah, there comes a point in time for you to join this. For you to join this, guys. You are going to have to give up this. This is for domain members, or this is for the domain volunteers who may wish to join the domain. You'll have to give up the individual soul and move to a matrix construction. Your quanta will still be intact. Your memories will still be intact. You're not losing memories. You're not losing your quanta. But you are going to lose your identity as an individual. You will also lose the quanta, the higher energy quanta that's now a manted, that's going to hang out in the reality universe that you no longer want a part of. As far as me, well, this is me. I got my little connection here, my extraterrestrial biological probe here. It's right there, and it's part of me. Time comes, and I translate, and I die. I'm going to call them out, and this is what's going to happen to me. It's probably going to be easier for me than it is for all you guys, because I've already been separated. Or maybe it's going to be scarier, because I'm going to have to give up this, and I haven't yet given it up. I don't know. As I've said, there's a lot of unknowns in all this. And I'm just simply piecing together things that I do know and I do understand. From what I understand, it's not just going to be a simple matter of you as an individual soul flying free off the reality universe. There is going to be, if you are going to join the domain, then you are going to be merged with that, and there will be a new construction of your soul that will take place. What's the advantages? Well, if that's what you do, you will suddenly get a whole bunch of higher energy. You'll be able to get framework of what your memories should belong to. So that'll be a lot easier for you to regain your memories, because there will be a framework. There will be a framework. Okay, there will be a framework. So you may not remember your specific memories, but the framework will be in place for the memories to start attaching themselves again to you. So you'll be able to regain all your memories of your domain. For those of you who are not domain, and you listen to them, and you leave, you're in a non-physical body, but you're still stuck in the reality universe. You can be a free-ranging spirit if you want to, or the domain can assist you to egress from that environment and do whatever you may want to do. You can pull a Matilda, and they will get you out of the universe and will set you up so that you can start being upon the road to repair. And I want to talk a little bit about that right now. So what I talked about so far was domain and myself, which is pretty straightforward. Myself is the most straightforward example. Okay? I already had operations and procedures and whatever. I just go ahead and boom, I'm here. Those who don't have the EBP installed, you will have to have a similar operation procedure occur. It's not that bad. I went through it, and then boom, you're merged back with domain. And that's really good. You will lose some of your quanta in the process, but I think those of you who are domain are totally aware that's what's going to happen, and you're not worried about it. But the big concern here for me is, now what about everybody else? So what's the story? What's the gouge? What's going on? Well, here you are. This is what you know. There's no question in your mind. You are consciousness. You are in a physical body that has non-physical components and non-physical bodies, and you are composed and comprised of quanta. These are knowns. We also know that you have a higher energy aspect to yourself, which we identify as a total other being, another species, simply because they're like higher. They're different from you, and they're obviously so different from you. So you do, and we call this the mantet, you guardian angel. So we have that too. How can you leave this prison universe and not join the domain? What is the mechanism there? Well, there's a couple of options, and I'm going to tell you what I believe the domain's plans are. Their plan is for those who are not domain and are ready to be extracted from the prison environment, that they go through a sorting period. They are sorted. The mere fact that a person came to this point in time where they're ready to leave is a great accomplishment. So domain treats it as a special event, and there's a serious sorting effort going on. And the first thing they look for is service to others sentiences. If you are service to others, you are placed in a category of service to others. You go over here. If you are service to self, you are placed in another category and you go over there. And if you are anything else, service to another, disjointed, or trans service, you're in another group altogether. I do not believe, in fact, I strongly believe that the domain, once you reach this point, they will not throw you back into the water. Even if your service for self, they will not throw you back. If your service to self, what they will do, if your service to self they will be working with this aspect of you. And this aspect of you and you will then be set on a road within this reality universe. And there's a procedure in place of what to do next, but you two will be merged together in some kind of way, in some kind of form, but you will be constrained to this universe. There will be certain elements of this that will be put in a holding area so that things won't be so arduous for you. So this is if your service to self. Disjointed is special cases. It's a case-to-case basis, and that's way too involved for me to get involved in right now. Most of you watching this are service to another. Service to others, not service to another. Service to others sentiences. And I want to dwell a little bit about what's going to happen to you guys. Most of you who are watching this and are patrons are service to others sentience. And what's going to happen there is that you will be offered an opportunity to join domain. That's the first thing that's going to happen. And if so, if you decide to accept, great. If you decide not to accept, that's also fine too. What they will do then, if you decide not to join domain, but you want to leave the environment, they will have to resolve this separation. For you to leave the universe, the reality universe, both of you two will have to be unified. And there's a procedure, just like or similar to the procedure for service to selves. You two will be merged in a way, but it's going to be different. It'll be different. A new body will be constructed. You will be merged with this body So you will go from one body to another body, which is a different soul configuration. It will be a soul configuration similar to the soul configuration you had before you were incarcerated. So if you were an animated banana, it would be the soul configuration of the animated banana. If you were a giant, it would be a soul configuration of a horned giant. If you were a satyr with horns, it would be the soul configuration of a satyr with horns. Whatever the soul configuration was, prior to you being incarcerated, they will create that container for you. And then you would be removed from the individualized soul container and merged with that. That's step one. Step two would be they would get your higher energy associations with your manteds, and they would merge that with you in this container. There, with that container, they will set you forth, and you will be able to, at that point in time, you can go anywhere. But they have an intermediate stage of training and readaptation and rehabilitation to enable you to then leave. So they have a further step of a rehabilitation period to get you back on the road towards to what you were or what you want to be. That's also an option, depending upon your situation. So this differs substantially if your service to others differs substantially from the service to self. Service to self will be wings clipped, stuck in the reality universe, but merged together. Hopefully, at some point in time, templates and experiences will enable you all to get your own container. Service to another, or service to others, not service to another, service to others. Get a new body. Quanta is deposited in that body, and they're allowed to leave. And that's what will happen. I hope that this little video was helpful to you. I hope it understands and clears things up. I hope that it was so clear that you don't have questions, but if you do, I'm sure there's lots of questions. I don't know if it's reassuring or not, but if you have another way things can be done, then you tell me, because this is, as far as I understand, these are the only ways that work. In any event, people, that's it for today. I hope this information was good to you. I hope it was valuable to you, and in all ways, all shapes, and all forms. Please keep in mind, I believe in you.